right, we're going to get started now. Okay, first I'd like to welcome our friends and family to the Applications of Nanoscience 2025 B session final presentations here at the California Nanosystems Institute at UCLA. My name is Dr. Shailene Tanimoto, and I'm the Education Manager here at CNSI, and I've been with your students over the last 2 weeks watching them grow and learn, and so we're very excited to show you all that they've learned. So first, I'd like to welcome everyone to UCLA. UCLA was founded in 1919. We are the second oldest campus in the UC system, and our campus spans over 419 acres, so we are a very large campus. We offer over 330 undergraduate and graduate degree programs with over 33,000 undergraduate students. 7% of those are international students, 29% are first-generation undergraduate students, and about 30% of them are undergraduates in the life and physical sciences. And so we are here today at the CNSI, which is one of Governor Gray Davis's Institutes for Science Innovation located here at UCLA. It was originally established in the year 2000 as an engine for innovation based on the belief that the defining technologies of the 21st century will arise from understanding and constructing functional nanosystems through controlled integration of nanoscale components. And so our mission here at CNSI is to be a world-leading nexus of research, education, and translational activities by engaging in scientific discovery that fuels innovation and impacts society. And so here is our CNSI education team. And so CNSI is technically a department here at UCLA, but we're not a degree-granting department. Instead, we are an interdisciplinary hub of research, technology, education, and entrepreneurship. So our education team is led by Professor Sarah Tolbert, who will be joining us shortly. She's notoriously late to things. So she'll join us shortly, and she will have opening remarks for us as well. And then our Director of Education is Dr. Rita Blake, here in the front. I'm your Education Manager, Dr. Shailene Tanimoto, and a lot of you have met our Program Coordinator, Dr. Elaine Morita. And so we run various programs, including professional development workshops for K through 12 teachers, a nanovation competition for 6th through 12th grade students, various public outreach events, and what you're all here for today, our summer sessions for high school students. And so this class in particular is Applications of Nanoscience. And so this is a 2-week summer program for rising sophomore to graduating senior high school students from around the world. This program has 46 students enrolled in this college-level science course on nanoscience and entrepreneurship. The students have learned from a team of UCLA STEM graduate students, staff, and professors, and received tours of our state-of-the-art facilities. So in week 1, students participated in interactive and engaging skills workshops in the morning, which are listed on the left, and then in the afternoon, the students performed nanoscience experiments in the Young Hall undergraduate teaching labs, which is our chemistry department. This week, the students worked in teams of 5 or 6 to design a company and a product based on these nanoscience experiments and principles presented in week 1. By Monday afternoon, the students had an initial pitch for a product and outlined how they would prototype their product with a proof of concept experiment, which they performed earlier this week. The CNSI staff, in particular shout outs to Elaine and Dr. Rita Blake for gathering these resources. We gathered these resources for the students to perform these experiments, and the teams worked under the guidance of their graduate student instructors to design and perform nanoscience experiments for their product. Then they worked as a team to prepare a written business plan and a business pitch, which are our final presentations today. And so we had these objectives for them this week. So our learning objectives include skills in science and entrepreneurship. So they had things about nanoscience, in particular, what it means to be a scientist and what it means to be an entrepreneur. And here are some pictures of them working in the laboratories, being little scientists. I'll have more pictures out in the lobby later today. But we also had these skills in life that we wanted them to learn. So particularly a growth mindset, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, teamwork, empathy, creativity, curiosity, problem solving, and reflection and introspection. So they really needed these skills to complete this project this week. And I made them reflect on it a lot. They're probably sick of seeing these same skills reiterated to them over and over again. But we had them reflect on all of their learning throughout this week. So if you go into the lobby, you'll see these Post-it notes on the window where they were reflecting on all that they were using and learning throughout the week. And so here are some pictures of our teams. We sent them on a scavenger hunt around campus, so they got to pick their teams and go to various locations around the campus. And again, I will feature more of these pictures during our reception later. And so before we get to the presentations, there's a lot of amazing people that helped to make this happen, and so we'd just like to take a moment to thank them before we get started. And so first and foremost, we have to thank our Applications of Nanoscience instructors. So Dima, Jasmine, Grace, Abigail, and Laura, we've been planning this course for about 3 months. And I asked the instructors to team up for all of the activities so we could demonstrate and exemplify the type of teamwork that we wanted your students to learn. And so they've worked really hard, especially over these last couple of weeks. And again, we just want to take a minute to thank them and acknowledge all of their knowledge and expertise that they've been sharing with our students. And so I'm going to have them stand up and applaud one more time to thank them again for all of their hard work. All right, so we also had some residential assistance. So 20 of our students were living in the dorms, and they also hosted office hours in the evening to help with homework and our projects. And so these RAs are amazing human beings, Sarah and Kelly, and I don't know how many of you have lived with 20 teenagers all at once, but it's not an easy task. So we really want to thank them for all of their hard work as well. And as I mentioned earlier, your students got to see some of the technology centers here and laboratories, and they also received some entrepreneurship help throughout the week to help form their product and their business plans. And so we'd like to thank some of our entrepreneurship advisors and our technology center staff for taking the time to teach our students as well. Okay. And then lastly, we have more CNSI staff to thank. So for all of our audio-visual, our digital communications, our events, and CNSI work study students to help make these spaces available for us, make all the technology happen. We are live streaming this event right now, and so we have Mark back in the booth making this happen. So we just want to thank our CNSI staff as well for all of their hard work. Alrighty. So now it's time for our main event, these final project presentations. So as I said earlier, the students are working in groups of 5 to 6, and they will present on innovative product ideas that is enabled by these nanoscience concepts that they learned in week 1. They'll present on their idea for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then we will have 5 minutes of questions from the audience. So I'm looking at you, audience. We highly encourage questions from our friends and family so you can better understand what the students learned this week. It's really important because if you don't ask questions, your students are going to get questions from our graduate student instructors and from Professor Sarah Tolbert when she gets here. And those will be very challenging questions. So you guys can ask very simple, easy questions for your students, and I'm sure they would greatly appreciate that. There is no such thing as a stupid question. You guys did not perform the experiments that the students performed, so you can ask them very simple questions about what does that word mean, that advanced science word that you just used? They might assume a lot of knowledge, and you don't have that knowledge, so you can ask them to explain those things. So being able to answer questions on the spot is a very important skill to have. And then a very important skill for our students also is to admit when they don't know something, and that's okay to not know. A great answer is, that's a great question. I'm not sure. I will look that up and get back to you. Totally acceptable answers. And that is also a skill that we want them to have, which is why this Q&A part is a very important component of these presentations. So at the end of every presentation, I will ask for questions from the audience, and that is your cue to participate. All right, so this is our presentation schedule. We'll start with 5 presentations, take a 10-minute intermission, and then have the final 4 groups present. I just wanted to recap for our students about our microphones. So again, this one at the podium, adjustable in height and a wide field capture so that you can kind of be in different areas and still be heard. But then we have our handheld microphones as well. There are 4 of them up here. Red light means off, green light means on. First, check that. The other thing is that you need to speak directly into these handheld microphones, because if you're a little farther away, or if it's not directly in there, you're not being picked up, okay? And this is really important for our live stream because they will not hear. The audience in here might hear you, but the live stream definitely will not pick up what you're saying. So again, just be mindful of how we're speaking into the microphones. Remember, we want to be pop stars, not holding it like an ice cream cone. Okay? Pop star, ice cream cone. All right, and then lastly, our clicker. We have a laser pointer to point to things and advancing our slides forward and backwards. All right, so let us begin with group 7.
Hello everyone, we're NanoGlow, and today we're going to be presenting about our first product, Magic Mask. So first, let's meet our team.
I'm Harry.
I'm Jasper.
I'm Chase.
I'm Cam.
I'm Casey.
So the problem our product are trying to solve is bacteria. But before I explain why bacteria is a problem, I want to ask you guys a question. So can you please raise your hand if any of you have ever had acne before? That's quite a lot of people. Okay, so you're not alone. So 50 million people suffer from acne problem annually. And 85% of people from 12 to 24 years old have experienced acne problem. And why bacteria is the problem is because bacteria will actually like infect these acne and make it look like it will swell up or have inflammations. And NanoGlow wants to use the Magic Mask to solve this problem.
Okay, so before I explain bacteria's effect on acne, let me give you like a background on how acne is actually caused. Acne is mainly caused by clogged pores, and essentially what happens is that oil or dead skin goes into your pores and clogs them. And so bacteria actually goes deep inside your pores and it causes them to be red, inflamed, or irritated. So that causes what you see on the screen. It's really red, chunky, yeah. And no one wants that. And that's reflected in the face mask market. And you can see that this face mask market in 2025 is valued at $7.89 billion and is projected to only be rising to $11.2 billion by 2032. And you can also see this in the compound annual growth rate when from 2021 to 2032, increasing by 5.1%.
Introducing our product, the Magic Mask. So unlike the typical skincare product you can find in the market, Magic Mask actually releases silver nanoparticles onto your skin, and it will go deep into the pores and kill off all the harmful bacteria that are causing the inflammation and the infections in your acne. And it still keeps the hydration capabilities so it will keep your skin moisturized and acne-free. So with Magic Mask, you can achieve the glowing, healthy skin that everyone desired.
So you may ask, why silver nanoparticles? Well, the reason why is it has broad spectrum efficiency. And what this means is it kills various different bacteria on the skin, including the Staphylococcus acne and the Cutibacterium acnes. Not only this, but it has sustained release of silver ions. What this means is it has continuous, it releases ions continuously and slowly so that all the bacteria on your skin is killed over a long period of time. Not only this, but it preserves skin health, and it prevents the growth of other microbes that contaminate the product.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the technology behind our product, specifically how the silver nanoparticles can kill the E cells. So as you can see, the black dots are the silver nanoparticles coated with the citrate. And then it will enter into the E cell either via direct membrane interactions or endocytosis, which is a process that allows the E cells to wrap around the silver nanoparticles using its membranes and then form a little vesicles. And then once they get into the E cells, it will release silver ions that can act as catalyst to form the reactive oxygen species that are such as the hydroxyl radicals or superoxide radicals that can be really detrimental to the E cell. So it will cause lipid peroxidations or DNA damage that eventually will lead to cell death. Okay, so to test our product, we bought two brands of skincare masks. One of them is ES2 and the other is Real Beauty. We bought them because we didn't have time to start make our own from scratch. And we basically combined the masks with silver nanoparticle solution in order to simulate and test our product. This is our procedure. So we basically have 5 Erlenmeyer flags. The first one contains only the E solution, and the 2 in the second column contains the 2 masks and combined with the E solution. And those in the third column contains the 2 masks first soaked in the silver nanoparticle solution for 3 hours and then combined with the E solution. And each of the 5 flags were connected to a device called manometer one by one. And this is what a manometer looks like. So it basically has a flask connected with a U-shaped tubing by a stopper, and then the air exhaled by the E's inside the flask will then push the liquid in the tubing and make a height change. And that is what we're measuring every 10 seconds. Oh. And this is a qualitative comparison of our result using the mask of ES2. And we can see that we have a flask with the solution that contains our magic mask, and another flask with our solution containing the ES2 mask only, and another one contains only the yeast. And we can see that the flask with the magic mask has the least foam formed than the other 2, which means that the yeast did the least respiration. And that's an indication of our product being successful to kill and inhibit the yeast. And the height change of the manometer indicates the respiration rate of the yeast. When the height change is rising, that means the yeast is respiring. And when the height change falls, that means the yeast is dead. And we only observed the yeast-only solution for 3 minutes because the water level was rising too quickly that it will overflow. So for the right dial that you can see shows entry to the yeast groups. It shows a really the steepest and fast positive trend. It shows that it's producing a lot of carbon dioxide. So the manometer height changed a lot. And then you can see there is the dark red line and the dark yellow line, the dark green line. And then it shows like a moderate increase trend, but it's shallower than the yeast group, which means that the existing mask serums has moderate inhibition effect on the yeast cell. But once we add our silver nanoparticles, you can see there's 2 light dots, one light red dot and one that's green, they're almost flat, which means that we have the strongest inhibition effects on the E cell.
So how does Magic Mask compare to other acne products? So as you can see, there are a lot of check marks next to the Magic Mask. And this reason is it has high pore penetration. What this means is it goes deep into your pores and kills all of that bacteria, unlike other acne products. Not only this, but it kills antibiotic-resistant bacteria. So in other products, bacteria can resist against the acne-killing products, but with Magic Mask, it eliminates all that bacteria so that there's no resistance against it. Also, it has no skin irritation and no sunlight sensitivity. So you won't have burning, itching, or sunburns on your skin, unlike other products like benzoyl peroxide and Accutane. One of our future products is pimple patches. So our pimple patches would have targeted acne treatment that is infused with silver nanoparticles that reduces the size of pimples and reduces inflammation and irritation on specific acne. This product will be able to go on your face for a long, long time, unlike the Magic Mask face mask that you put on for 2 minutes and take it off.
Okay, so now finally on our company timeline. So for year 1, we plan to carry out additional testing and try to better our formula. And we plan to also develop a working prototype of this face mask, and the estimated cost would be around $650,000. And for year 2, we plan to submit for FDA approval, and we also plan to reach out for sponsors and other influencers to promote our product. And we'll begin to start manufacturing at a small scale, and this will require us $1.1 million. For year 3, we plan to further improve our formula, and our end goal is to either get bought out by a big brand company or be able to partner with a big brand company so we can produce our face mask at a much better, higher efficiency. And the estimated cost would be $1.5 million. So in total, we will be asking for $3.25 million. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
All right, now it's time for questions from our audience, please.
Is this the silver ion made from silver? And is this very expensive?
So the silver nanoparticles is synthesis with silver nitrate and sodium citrate. So basically, we just make nanoparticles is very small particles, but that are made of silver ions. So we actually researched the price.
Okay, so it's the sodium citrate is much cheaper than the silver nitrate, and the silver nitrate is a bit more pricey, so that's why our face mask will be above normal face mask price, like other companies.
But also it does have premium benefits with that price.
Hello. Is there any known symptoms or side effects of this cream or application?
Okay. So a weakness is that if you do consume like the entire face mask, the particles, so it could lead to some side effects of maybe some skin discoloration for temporary amounts of time, but it's only toxic if you actually consume it, and it's perfectly fine if it's just on your face or your skin.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to know if in normal use it had any
Yeah.
side effects.
And we hope you don't consume it. So.
Are there any complications with the disposal of the face mask? Because I remember that we had to put the silver stuff into like a jar when we were doing the actual experiment.
So there are actually a lot of silver nanoparticles product out there, like silver nanoparticles bandage, which are perfectly fine to dispose. Because, like I said, we need to get FDA approval for our product, so anything will be like safe for the environment, basically. And in the lab, we're using like safe containers because we're using large amount of certain nanoparticles. But in our product, we won't be that huge amount. So I think it'll be perfectly fine to dispose.
Let me add that there are rules that anything from a lab have to be disposed of as chemical waste. So if you make a solution of sodium chloride, that would be salt. It's chemical waste in a lab. It's table salt in your kitchen. So the fact that we had to dispose of it that way doesn't mean it has to be disposed of that way.
Any other questions?
First, I just want to commemorate all of you on this beautiful presentation, and I have a question for you. So, in the future, you guys mentioned about pimple patches, and you guys mentioned about how you'd have to put it on for a longer duration. Is there a possibility that duration might decrease due to your new technology?
Honestly, we don't really think so. I mean, it works just like another pimple patch. I mean, the silver nanoparticles don't really like affect the duration at all. It should be, honestly, we're trying to like work on having it as a longer duration in the future compared to a shorter duration. So, yeah.
But the concentration of silver nanoparticles will be reduced than the face mask, because usually the face mask you only wear for like a few minutes, like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then since pimple patches will be for maybe hours on end, like say if you're at school, then it'll be much lower. But since it's over time, then it'll still have similar effects.
Any last questions? No? Okay, great job.
Thank you.
Alrighty, group 9. Oh, before group 9 starts, Professor Sarah Tolbert is here, so she's going to give some remarks.
Hello. So first, let me apologize for not being here at the beginning. My students who are at the front will know that I am late for everything I do, so they're just laughing as I stand here. But I wanted to take a moment to welcome all of the parents. My name is Sarah Tolbert, and I'm a professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry and in the Department of Materials Science and Engineering. And I am the faculty director of the education program here, and I get to assign the grades in this class. Fear ye not. Our goal here is to just get everybody excited about both learning nanoscience and learning entrepreneurship. And I just want to say for the parents, thank you for giving your kids this opportunity. I will tell you, I have been involved in starting small companies, and I knew nothing about what I was doing when I started. And that was after I'd been a professor for like 10 years. So the fact that these guys are actually learning, it's a very deep concept to say a cool technology does not make a product. A cool technology plus a cool idea of who can use that technology is what makes a product. And it takes many people a long time to learn that, and I'm just very excited that they're all learning it now. So my last comment is there was a bunch of questions, and that was really awesome. I couldn't ask questions the first one because I missed most of it. But if you don't ask questions, I have to ask questions. And I guarantee my questions are harder than your questions. So for the sake of your kids, come up with a whole bunch of questions so that I don't get to ask any. Okay, so enjoy the rest of the talks.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Yes. Wonderful, okay. Hi everyone, we're Meal Melt, and today we're going to be presenting to you our new innovation, Meal Pods. So this is our team. My name is Milena.
I'm Joanna.
I'm Pranati.
I'm Lila.
I'm Elliot. I'm Ryan.
So let me present to you the problem. So everybody knows plastic waste is a major issue right now. Obviously, you can look at the data right here. Starting in 1950, there was 2 million tons worth of plastic waste, and now there's 450 million tons worth. And out of that, 146 is only from packaging production. And that's going to lead to 1.8 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide, and we don't need that.
So by a show of hands, can everyone raise their hands if you guys have heard of bouillon cubes, instant ramen, or canned foods? So why is this important?
So, like you saw, most of those products are either too heavy to carry around, they're wasteful, they can only be, they're plastic, so they take a long time to decompose and degrade. So our product is biodegradable food packaging. It is a capsule-shaped container, which is completely edible and made out of biopolymers. And you should care because this helps reduce waste and is a practically zero-waste product.
So why is our product better? First of all, ours is biodegradable, meaning it's eco-friendly and sustainable because it's completely dissolved in water and it's edible. Ours is also efficient and no gelatin is used for the people who are allergic to gelatin or can't consume gelatin for other reasons. We can also put powdered foods such as seasoning or broth packets, liquids such as soups and gels.
To make our products, we decided to use biopolymers. But what is a biopolymer? So basically, a biopolymer is a natural material that is made from living organisms. We decided to choose them because they are sustainable. The biopolymers that we use are edible, biodegradable, and use minimal waste. Biopolymers actually have multiple uses. We can find them in coatings, films, and food capsules. But they also have multiple types, like nucleic acids, like DNA and RNA, polypeptides, which form proteins, and polysaccharides, like cellulose and starch.
What biopolymers did we use exactly, you may ask? We used iota-carrageenan, which is a soft gel, and this is what adds texture to our meal pods. And we also used kappa-carrageenan, which is a hard gel, and this is what determines the stiffness of our meal pods. We also used potassium chloride and calcium chloride. And when both of these are present, calcium chloride is what actually initiates the gelation of the iota-carrageenan, and potassium chloride is what actually initiates the gelation of the kappa-carrageenan. So it's essential that we have both present.
Okay, so now we'll be talking about the cross-linking between the iota and kappa-carrageenans. So first, on the top, you can see the kappa-carrageenan that cross-links with the potassium ions and forms a double helix. On the bottom, there's the iota-carrageenan, which bonds with the calcium to form a double helix. Once these two double helixes are formed, it forms the gel. So as we mentioned before, our product dissolves in water. So here, you can see the gel. Once we add the water, the calcium and potassium ions dissipate due to water's partial positive and partial negative charges. Since the iota and kappa-carrageenans no longer have their cross-linking ion, they dissipate as well.
Great. Now, before I explain all of this, I need to explain to you one topic. What's a Young's modulus? A Young's modulus is... Can you hear me? Perfect. Okay. Young's modulus. This is a variable that you can calculate the elasticity of something by getting the stress and dividing it by the strain. And all of the data that you're going to see after this is used by this equation right here.
Now I'm going to explain the proof of concept experiments that we conducted to make sure that our product is actually feasible. So first, we made different concentrations of gelatin to simulate the gelatin pill capsule that's already available in the market today. And first, we made these concentrations. We pipetted them into a petri dish, and then we refrigerated them and added our protein powder and added more gelatin on top to make our pill capsule. And then now we made our own product using our iota and kappa-carrageenan to compare the stiffness. And we used potassium chloride and varying concentrations of calcium chloride. And we heated that up, and then we added our iota and kappa-carrageenan to make our combined solution, which we then pipetted into petri dishes, added our protein powder, and then we added the gel back on top to make our meal pod. And then we used magnets and stacked them on the petri dishes for both our carrageenan solution and our gelatin solution to measure our stiffness. And what is our ideal stiffness, you might ask? It has to be enough to hold our product inside the meal pods to make sure that it can be transported from one place to another. And we're measuring stiffness to find the ideal CaCl2 concentration that can be used when making our product in the future.
Perfect. So out of all of that, this is the data that we're able to receive. So obviously we were changing the concentration of calcium chloride in our solution, and evidently so, the more we added, the more elastic and stiff it got, meaning that if we attempt to put food or anything into our capsule, it's not going to fall apart whatsoever. And we also attempted to do this on gelatin as well, and obviously you can tell that our data is a lot more promising.
So for existing patents, we found 3 that we were researching on, and we will be licensing all of these later on in the future, and we did add these to our financial model. So the first one is HPMC, which describes how to produce plant-based heat-stable capsules using HPMC and another gelatin alternative. The second one uses iota-carrageenan for oral medication, which is a seaweed-derived gelling agent to deliver and stabilize oral medication. And then the last one outlines a technique for safely encoding liquids in capsules.
Okay, so now I'm going to be talking to you about the market analysis. So the biodegradable packaging market is $5.81 billion in 2025. It's what it's currently valued at, and it's expected to increase to $19.41 billion by 2034. And this packaging, biodegradable packaging, is needed in a lot of different industries, such as food packaging, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, and agricultural. But today we're focusing on food packaging. Specifically, we're trying to target backpackers and truck drivers who may need food on the go and need access to it, not carry around a lot of plastic waste. And so for our publicity, we want to use a lot of social media and brand deals in order to get our product out there and hopefully get a good customer base and also get reviews in order to further innovate our product and fix it. And we want to sell it to hiking or sports center stores in order to provide samples and further get feedback.
Okay, so when it comes to our company's timeline, we decided to dedicate our first year to research and development of our brand new technology. And the estimated funds needed for that first year are about $1.6 million. When it comes to year 2, we'll try to further our development by integrating some of our products in small-scale retail stores, just to gain feedback from other persons, and the funds needed for that year are $3.6 million. When it comes to year 3, we will try to integrate our products in larger scale retail stores, like supermarkets and sports goods stores, and the total funds needed for that year are $4 million. And when it comes to our vision, our future vision of our company, we'll try to, of course, further our technologies, and we will also try to partner up with other companies that are in different sectors, like the cosmetic sector and agricultural sector.
So we are asking for $9.2 million for our product meal pots. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, questions from our audience, please.
Hi. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. I have 2 questions. First, can you explain a little bit the AI tool or assistant you use at different stage? And second, did you talk to some potential customers?
Number 1, thank you. I appreciate the question. Would you mind elaborating on the first question? What do you mean by that?
I just want to understand how much AI tool you use during your research, preparation of the slide, and elaboration of your ideas. How much and to which extent you use the AI assistant?
We didn't use too much AI because thanks to our lovely graduate students and everybody, we were able to understand this topic very, very well through our lab. Originally, the lab didn't use, you saw the magnets. We didn't use magnets, we used pennies. And the reason why, again, we wanted a thicker material, so we added some extra things to it. I'm not going to elaborate because there's no point. But We did Google a few things or two because obviously we're not fully educated on this topic. We did ask AI some questions in regard to this, but it did not do our project for us. I can reassure you that we did go in depth about this and we did do the lab ourselves and figure out all of this data. And would you mind repeating your second question for me?
Can I expand on the first question?
Yeah.
So for the AI, we would probably use it a lot for market analysis, right? Because we can help gather information on, what hikers are looking for or how much they don't like to carry waste. We could also use artificial intelligence to kind of create models to maybe we don't have to recreate the experiment so much and we can just test things using AI models. But I think, we would use AI mostly for market research and market analysis if we went towards it in the future.
And to answer your second question, which I believe was on who we've talked to, so it's not really about talking to someone, it's more about what I've seen firsthand. I've gone camping before and I've seen people, my family or friends, just use a package to make something and they just throw it out in the woods, and it's that's not good for the environment, obviously. So we came up with this product which will biodegrade. Whether you consume it or not, it will biodegrade either within you or in the environment itself. So it is more eco-friendly.
Yeah. One quick question: can you actually microwave this packaging? Would it melt or?
So we do want it to be able to melt. Say if you have a pack of ramen noodles inside of our packaging, you would just throw it into a boiling pot of water and it would just melt. So the product, ideally, it would be microwavable.
Hi, so you said the packaging is edible. What does it taste like?
So in our experiments, we used calcium chloride, which has a bitter taste to it. But when we do market it out and when we do actually go into the lab, the factories and manufacture the products for to release it out into the market, we would use calcium lactate, which is FDA approved and it has no taste whatsoever. So it'll taste like nothing basically. When it does melt, you'll just taste the food that is inside the capsule itself.
I just want to be clear, we don't let our students eat stuff that they made in lab. Just
You said that it was able to become dissolved in water, so wouldn't that be kind of inefficient for transportation because some things like rain or something like that, wouldn't that make the packaging dissolve?
We're gonna transport them in glass jars, which are also eco-friendly, and they can also they're eco-friendly, so it's not like plastic or anything.
And also, when you go camping, you usually put your food in another container. You're not really carrying it out in the open. So ideally, you have it in another container, but they're pre-portioned, and you don't just have to continue opening it and throwing it away.
Hi. First of all, congratulations on this project. Second one is you use two important minerals, potassium and calcium, which is very two important minerals for the human body. But too much consumption is also bad. Is there any specific that you mentioned that only certain amount of these packets should be consumed per daily basis?
Yeah. So the amount of potassium and calcium chloride we used is 0.2 grams, 0.4 grams. The concentrations were 1% or 0.5%, which are all FDA approved and regulated. So you don't have to worry about consuming too much of those minerals because those are just there to make sure that it gels, basically. It's not there about for taste.
okay. We go over time for Professor Tolbert if necessary.
Okay, somebody sort of asked this, but short of getting rained on, so most food packaging exists to protect food from oxidation. So do you think that your packaging is actually going to protect your food from reacting with oxygen in the air and getting destroyed by oxidation? Or is this really just the inner packaging and everything needs a secondary packaging?
So as we mentioned before, the package is inside a glass jar, which is known to contain other types of foods like peanut butter. So it should remain safe.
But nobody backpacks with a glass jar because they weigh a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to add on quickly to this is that when I had originally thought about it in my head, because of how small it is, obviously a lot of backpackers will bring plastic like Ziploc bags with them as well. If they need to, and if it's better for them, they can also take it out of the glass jar and put it into there. But they can also bring the plastic like Ziploc bag with them. But I'm sure that because the actual packaging itself is not plastic, it won't be dumped out as frequently.
Okay, good job.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Next up is group 5.
Hi everyone, we're Clear Arts. So our company name is Clear Arts, and our product name is Clear, and that's our company logo. You can see it's like we draw this. It's kind of bad, but like you know. And then our team. So we got.
I'm Jiyoung, the Chief Executive Officer.
And we have one missing person. It's Cindy Lee, and she's the Chief Science Officer. And I'm Trini, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer.
And I'm William.
And I'm Lucy, I'm the Marketing Officer.
Yeah, so now can you imagine that you can, when you are painting, you can wash your brush with limited water, just a single bottle of water. You can wash it again and again. So our product is offering you that opportunity, and it's filter out the pigment from the water, and therefore you can reuse the water. And it is the best choice for people who favor painting outdoor, and also for some people who work in our studio.
And for the water recycled, so there's also like a lot of landscape painter. So they love to draw in like outdoor. So they might need to they need water to wash their brush. But sometimes it's kind of hard to find like water at some place like desert. And so for our product, it's gonna be like we want to solve this problem. And then also for the art studio, and they also need water to wash their brush. So after I searched online, so I found that so each person will need 2.5 liter water for each single painter. But there's also like a lot of people in the art studio that means there will be like a huge number for the water need to be used. So for our product, they can use our product to like recycle the water and then make it reusable.
Here's our product, Clear. So like, we have 6 layers, and we expect it's like they all gonna do something. But like, first layer is like the neon filters. It's kind of felt like the dirts, the big particles. And the second layer is the cross sand. It's for pigment clumps. And the third one is a column filter pad. So like, for this one, in experiments, we found that it's kind of useless. So like, it didn't really filter out anything. Like all it did just absorb water, and that's it. So it's kind of useless. And then have the zeolite A and the molecular certified A. So those two are for the ions, like the small particle ions. Like the last one is a regular filter paper. So like that's filter out the last thing that's in there. So how does zeolite works? So zeolite is a thing that like you have to exchange. So like what we want to do is we want to like exchange the CD into the zeolite, so we can put the Na plus L. So that was like it filter out the color, and that's like what we expect to happen. But like, yeah.
And here's the pigment list we used in later experiment. And for the on the you can see on the left side is a red. We call it a cadmium red particles, and its chemical composition are calcium sulfide, calcium selenide, and its particle size is around 1 micron. And you can see there's a pigment which is upside down, and it's our ultramarine blue particle. And it's made of sodium aluminum silicate with sulfur. And it's much greater, it has a greater size of particles, which is around 1 to 100 microns. And lastly, which is a titanium white, it's directly composed of titanium dioxide, and it has the smallest particle size, which are about 0.2 to 0.5 micrometer.
Then we start our validation experiment. So we can see that we can see that on the left side is our prototype, the clear, and it has a saturated point about 1.5 liter. So for the water of concentration for 1 gram per 100 milliliter, we keep adding water into it until the outcome is not very obvious. So for the water filtration test, we use the white color first. So the white color, we first put 1 gram pigment out and 100 milliliter water, and then mix them together. We stay for some minutes and slowly pour this liquid into our device. And then we collect the water and do some comparisons. So for the comparison, we can see that on the left side is the water before filtration, and on the right side is the water after filtration. So we can see that the clarity is highly improved. And then we change the pigment's color, and we also renew the internal material of the device. We can see that the outcome is also very obvious. And so last, we repeat these procedures, change the color to blue, and then we can see that the clarity is also improved. So it might seem that our product is work, but however, after we did these experiments, we find that maybe not all of the parts are worked. So maybe we can do something like cut off some layers, then can make our device cheaper.
Yeah, so we found that we make some mistakes. So for why it doesn't work, firstly, we mistakenly assume that the iron size as the size of the particle. So as we know, iron size are quite small. It's about 10 nanometer for this particle. And however, in actually the particle size of pigment is much greater. It's about 1,000 nanometers, and which is much greater than the membrane filter pore size, which is 450 nanometers. So definitely it can just block it from entering.
And also, why does not zeolite works? So because of the CDS and the sodium aluminum sulfate with sulfur is not dissolving water, so both of them came from an ion. So zeolite cannot exchange them in a solution, so that's why it didn't work.
And this one is based on if our product is successful. And you may ask why we just directly use the membrane filter. As I mentioned, it's so efficient to use that. We can see that the cost is also cheaper than our products, like 25%. And let me explain this one. But our volume that we can filter is much greater than the membrane filter. As we know, as we test, the membrane filter can only filter 3 or 4 syringe of water, which is 5 millimeters times 3 or 4 times, and which is 20 millimeters. But in our product, if it successfully works, and it can just filter 1.5 liters of pigment water.
And here is our competitor. So I found the golden crash pin sodium wasted water cake. So this golden things is kind of similar to our product, but this one it costs $55 for one, and our clearer is only cost $20. And they both work for the paint wasted water filtration, but the golden one, it just separate the pigment and the water and make it easy to like throw it away. But our product is to make the color water to be clear water and reuse it. And to separate the pigment and the water, it need to wait for like at least 30 minutes or even more than 1 hour. So it still need to take a long time to do it.
All right, for monkey analytes. So this is like a brand new product that's in the market. Like no one else has made this thing like this before. And then $20 is an affordable price. So you know, like artists, they buy a lot of like expensive and fancy brush, and that costs a lot more than $20. So $20 is not too much for them. And our total addressable market is 35 million people. So you can see the graph that we made right there. So you can see in the U.S. they have the most painter, and China is the next. So those two countries are our target market. And then because of like we're in US right now and we're on all four of like is Chinese. So that's another reason that we're targeting those two countries.
So this is a timeline for our 3 years company. So for the first year, we're gonna like research and to try to make our product can be used, like to find like other like material to make it, and then we're gonna spend 50,000 for the first testing and the initial product run. And for the second year, so for the quarter 1 and 2, we're gonna send our product to some artists to ask for feedback and collect the feedback to refine the product, like housing, the filter housing, and also the water flow. And for the quarter 3 and 4, we're gonna find the inverter and to sell our products through the some store. And our target to sell 5,000 units and to get 100,000. And for the third year, we're gonna invest heavier into the market. So we're gonna find like we plan to find the market reserving. Market filtering. Find the factory in China, mainly like California and China, because U.S. and China is our main target market. So we're gonna find the factory to start processing, and our target to sell 15,000 units and to get 300,000.
All right, thank you guys for watching.
Okay, questions from our audience, please.
On slide 5, you stated that you guys had 1 centimeter of cotton layer, which does nothing, and I'm wondering why that's there, if it does nothing.
This one, right?
Yeah.
So, cause this is like the one we made before, like before the experiment. So like we expect like it do something, but like unfortunately it didn't do anything. So yeah.
Oh, so it's just a prototype?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question about, you say your cost would be $20. How did you come out that?
Cause our cost for one is like around $9. So and we we're planning to sell at $20. So if our experiment works and everything, including the shipping and the zero light and everything, it will be like around $9, and we're planning to sell at $20. So that's our cost.
Thank you.
Okay, so you said there was one other product out there, but that product's goal was to just remove the paint from water, whereas you wanted to make the water reusable. How are those different? What would you be reusing the water for?
So the water can be reused like again for brushing, like washing the brush, and the other product is only for like separate the water. Like it isn't like the water can't be reused anymore. So we want to make it reusable.
So why can't it be reused if you've separated it?
So, cause like if it is just separated, but it still have some like pigment, like it's not like all separated. So it still have like some like particles like still in the water. So the water is like not that like really clear, but it's like it's so they just separate it like so you can see there's two parts, but it still have something like into the water. So they can just directly use the water to wash the brush again.
So I guess the thing I want you guys to think about is, as a product, what are people willing to pay for? So water is really cheap. So people don't necessarily want to pay $20 to not have to use more water. But there is something here that people really will pay for, and both of these two products do it.
So our goal is like first goal is like mainly for like the landscape like painters that they're like outdoors and maybe like they're in a desert, like they don't have water to use. And other things like we can sell it to like someone to be like recycled and like eco-friendly, so like they don't have to waste more water to like paint.
So if you don't remove the paint from the water and you wash your brush, what do you do with that water?
Like wait, can I answer the question again?
If you
please?
don't use your product and you wash your paintbrush,
Uh-huh.
what do you do with the water?
You throw it away.
You throw it away. And what's in that water?
It's like color, and like some colors are like toxicity.
There's like some of your colors have cadmium in them. That's really toxic.
Yeah.
So what's the disadvantage of throwing away water with cadmium in it?
You're gonna like damage the environment.
Yeah, that water goes back into the ecosystem. And so it's really hard to get the impurities out of water. So the key selling point here is people who want to be environmentally friendly and not, solid waste does not go into the environment the same way that liquid waste does. So the real key space here is to be able to dispose of the water, not to save it, but dispose of it safely. So I think that's that's the space where there is money to be made.
Thank you.
One last question.
So generally, like, you clear the water, right? But there should be a life decay, right? So what is the life decay of the water? Like how many iterations of the brushing the water has to throw away? It keeps on clearing the brush, like clear water, or is it there will be a life decay, right?
Wait, sorry, can you repeat the question again? Like,
so for the water, right? There should be, if you keep on how many times that you can clear the water, clear the paint, right? There should be a life decay for that.
so like cause of like our experiment work, so we expect it will like clean like around 10 times, but it's not working. So like that's like you expect.
Yeah, we tested the water with concentration, which is 1 gram of pigment in 100 millimeters of water, and so in total we can just filter 1.5 liter of water. So actually, you can filter 15 grams of pigment.
Great, thank you. Okay, group 3.
Hello everyone, our company is Emulsify and we're presenting to you our product, the Pen Drop. Meet our team.
So I'm Ethan.
I'm Alex.
I'm Arjun.
I'm also Alex.
I'm Joshua.
So our company's mission statement is to make supplement intake effortless and enjoyable for everyone. So, did you guys know that around 60% of children dislike the bitter taste of supplements? So, the problem we wish to solve is we want to make vitamin intake easier for millions of people around the world who fail to get their daily supplements, especially fat-soluble ones like vitamin A, D, E, and K, from all types of people, from those who struggle to swallow pills like elders with Alzheimer's or small children, to those who just dislike the bitter taste, and for those who just want a portable and convenient way to add vitamins to their favorite drinks. So fat-soluble supplements can be dispersed in water, but they can be mixed with oil, which won't get emulsified with your favorite water-based drinks, which is what our product is trying to solve.
Introducing our product, the pen drop. As the name suggests, the pen drop is around the size of a pen with a diameter of 4 centimeters and a height of 10 centimeters. It is a portable emulsifying device utilizing microfluidics, which we will explain later. So these are the different parts that come apart for the pen drop, and these are the different components of the pen drop. So first we have the lid plus piston spring that adds pressure to fluids. Next we have the different compartments to fill with the liquids that we need. So we have the refillable water plus soy lecithin, refillable oil with fat-soluble supplements, which are then attached to tubes that are attached to microfluidic device that utilizes T-junction, which is then dispensed through the exit. So first, how does our product work? Well, first we need to load each of the compartments with the appropriate fluids. So we have water plus emulsifier, and then we have the oil plus the supplement, which will be fat-soluble supplements, as mentioned previously. And these can range from anything from like fat-soluble vitamins, such as vitamin A, D, E, and K. So going deeper into how our product works, first, we must remove the lid from our product. And then we fill the pen drop with the fluids, then close the lid, then add pressure to the device, which will then make the fluids go down the tube to the microfluidic device, which will then be emulsified and then dispensed. And the objective of our product is that the particles will be small enough that they are well dispersed and unnoticeable in the drink of your preference. So these are the nanoscience applications behind the pen drop. So previously, we mentioned emulsifiers, an emulsion and microfluidic device. So what are these? So first, we have emulsion. Emulsion is the mixture of two substances that normally won't mix, such as water and oil. And water and oil do not mix due to water being polar and oil being nonpolar, meaning they do not attract each other. However, due to the emulsifier, specifically soy lecithin, which has a hydrophilic head or a polar head, which is attracted to water, and a hydrophobic tail, or a nonpolar tail, which is attracted to oil, the emulsifier is able to act as a connector between the water and oil that allows them to mix and therefore be emulsified. Next, we have the microfluidics. So this is the most essential component of our device. We're going to use, so as previously mentioned, we're using a microfluidic device that uses the T-junction. So first thing to note about the microfluidic device is that it creates something called the laminar flow. The laminar flow is basically a smooth and parallel flow that organizes the fluids. However, due to the T-junction of our microfluidic device, small oil particles are created and therefore dispersed into the water. Due to the T-junction structure, constant and stable emulsion is created within the device and dispersed into your drink, making the oil and the supplement that is mixed with the oil almost unnoticeable in your drink.
So our validation experiment, it starts off with making two different solutions, so one of oil and vitamin, and then the other with water and soy lecithin. So the oil and vitamin solution is yellow in color, and the water and soy lecithin is blue in color from the blue food dye. And so we mixed it, and we syringed out small amounts, and we added it to our microfluidic device, as you can see, and we coated the microfluidic device with oil first, and then we observed the droplets after we put pressure.
So first, these are the results, but before we go over the results, this is a photograph of the microfluidic device that we were talking about. So as you can see, there's a T-junction, and then the oil is yellow, and the water is blue due to the food coloring that was added. And as you can see, the droplets that were created, observed under the microscope, display a dominant blue color, signifying that the emulsification was a oil and water emulsification, and therefore the oil was well dispersed into the fluid, displaying predominantly blue color.
So our product delivers a supplement that in a convenient liquid form, making it easier for your body to absorb key nutrients. You can enjoy it with any beverage of your choice, like water, juice, or coffee, without affecting the taste or texture. It also eliminates the bitter aftertaste often associated with powder or crushed supplements. And with a design of the size of a pen, it's completely portable, so you can take it anywhere, wherever at your home, at gym, traveling, or at work.
So this brings us to our market analysis. The market for emulsifiers and microfluidics in foods is still relatively open. However, we do have three main competitors. The first of which are pills, which are pretty spatially convenient. However, their main drawback is that they're difficult to swallow. As per a study done by Harvard University, up to 17% of children in the age range of 3 to 17 years old have difficulty swallowing pills. And this can also be extended to the elderly and also people with dysphagia, which is a condition which allows people to not be able to swallow easily. And this is extremely difficult to mitigate, as some pills are extended up to 25 millimeters, which are comparable to the size of a quarter. Second, we have gummies. And although they are sort of mitigating the swallowing part, they do need sugar to mitigate the taste, as some minerals such as iron taste extremely poorly, and in order to do that, they have sugar in them. And that sugar is an extremely strong concern for dental health, and the fact that sugar is inside of the gummy and the gummy has limited size, it means that the amount of space for the active ingredient is actually smaller. And third, we have liquids, which carry bad taste, and in a study done by Frontiers, we can deduce that almost 60% of children dislike bitter taste in medicine, which can actually make them refuse to take the medicine altogether.
So here's our expansion strategies. So we will create a emulsify original vitamin powders for user to use in their pen drop. And we will make up a pen drop V2 by improving on our emulsion technologies. We will also make up a vitamin apps that can tracking health goals and consumptions.
So the price of the pen drop is going to be $40.
And we are asking for a total endowment of $4.2 million.
And this breaks down to around $600,000 to $700,000 for year one. This will be basically from research and development of emulsifiers and incorporating vitamins in them. Prototype, we're going to be building our initial device, and then we're also going to be fundraising in year one. And year two, we'll be spending a little more. This is just refining our design, hiring some engineers and scientists to work and finish our product, and then we'll also be launching it onto shelves. And then year three, we'll be spending a lot more for advertising, and we're going to be ramping up production. We're going to be collecting data from users and using that to work on a new version, maybe like a V2 of the pen drop. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, questions from our audience.
How do you load the oil and the vitamin into your pen drop?
So in order to load the oil and vitamin into your pen drop, you can actually take off the lid. So we do have a 3D model of this on a CADing software, which we made, which is actually screwable. So you can actually take that off, and then you can insert the liquids into the pen drop.
What's stopping people from just pouring the liquid supplements into their drink anyway?
So the difference between just pouring the whatever supplement into a drink and using our device is the fact that our device removes all the flavor that the supplement may have, whether that's sweetness or bitterness or maybe even like saltiness. So basically, you'll be able to enjoy the pure essence of the drink you want to enjoy.
Yeah, and to add on to that, some of the vitamins that we mentioned are fat soluble, so they wouldn't just dissolve in like let's say water. So our emulsifying device helps you do that, and we add it to any drink, and then it'll, as you said, be tasteless, odorless.
Okay, so this is actually very cool, but you can't make a product that does everything. So what are you going to start with? What is the one fat-soluble vitamin that people don't get enough of that you're going to make your first marketing campaign around?
So it's going to be vitamin D, and it's shown from our validation of experiment. That was the one we tested, and therefore we are the most confident about vitamin D. And vitamin D is an essential nutrient that we all need, even though we get it from sunlight. Sometimes, like, you may live in areas where sunlight is not as accessible, and so yeah, I think we're gonna start with vitamin D as our first supplement and market it towards other supplements as well.
So, okay, just to add to your marketing campaign, you do get it from sunlight, but everybody wears sunscreen now, and when you wear sunscreen, you don't make enough from sunlight.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so you could tie your marketing campaign into an anti-skin cancer campaign.
Oh, that's very creative.
It's always a good idea to compliment the question asker.
So I have a, I guess, connected question to the previous one about how you actually put in the vitamins. How do you know what dosage you should put in? Because if you're putting powder into the oil, and I assume it seems like you're just selling the pen right now. Are you also selling the vitamins? Like, how would I, as a user, know what ratios to mix into my pen?
Okay, so to answer the first part of your question, I think Arjun's a better expert at this. But basically, in the previous version of our slide, we included this information. But we use something called, what was it? Like some sort of dilution?
Cereal dilution?
Oh, yeah, cereal dilution. Yeah, so we use cereal dilution, and we measured that the amount of vitamin that an average adult needs is about 2,500 micrograms in 100 milliliter of oil. Therefore, we'll take 100 milliliter of oil and then add 2,500 micrograms of vitamin in it, and then, or maybe that's...
Yeah, so then, well, basically, we split that into four different dosages. So that was, I think, 125 micrograms each. I think. Basically, we set up a bigger dilution, and then since micrograms are pretty small, we kind of syringed a small amount, and then that was our dosage. And to answer the second part, that's like an innovation that we might include in the future of our company, where we might go into like the supplement space where we could create our own supplements and mix our own dosages.
I want to expand on the part 2 of your question. So I think it was in the expansion slide as well. But we want to create some sort of a brand loyalty from our initial product, and then encourage our buyers to buy our own supplements, like our own powders that can be used for our product.
Yeah, let me just add, money is always to be made in the recurring cost. So make your pen really, really cheap. And also, most people are completely afraid to make a solution of a fixed concentration. So the idea of other people mixing it up is just totally beyond the general public. So the money is in the stuff you put in the pen, like printer ink. Think of it that way.
All right. Any last question? All right. Great job, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Group 4.
Thank you for coming to listen to us today. We're talking about Cactus Catch today.
Hi, my name's Ellie, and I'm the CEO of this company.
My name is Peter.
My name is Nick.
I'm Ellie, and I'll be the CSO.
I'm Anna. I'm the CEO of the company.
Our company name is Nisa, and we will be developing the product Cactus Catch. Cactus Catch is a device that allows for easy collection of water. With it, we will address a problem afflicting billions of people, a lack of clean drinking water.
So I'm going to introduce the problem space and origin of Cactus Catch. Even now, there are still many people who can't drink drinkable water in some various areas, and according to UN, over 2 billion people lack access in safe drinking water, and this number is projected to rise because of the climate change, population growth, and groundwater depletion. And however, other conventional water gathering methods are often expensive, and our idea is inspired from cactus, that cactus are able to collect scarce water. And our device is affordable and efficient water collection device, and it will help mitigate water scarcity. So our product, Cactus Catch. And Cactus Catch is a kind of water collection device using super hygroscopic polymer films, which are thin and flexible materials composed of polymers with extraordinary ability to absorb and retain large amount of water from the environment surrounding. And it is a mix of hydrophilic material and heat-sensitive hydrophobic material. And when we heat this kind of a material, it will release water.
Okay, so this is what our product is actually going to look like. So this is the Cactus Catch. It's just, it's 4.75 inches in diameter, and it's 10.4 inches long. This is around the same size as an average 64-ounce water bottle, but it will be able to collect around 32 ounces of water based on the materials that are inside of it. And over here, you can see there's an open mill lid, so that way it's actually able to expose the gel into the atmosphere so that you're able to absorb the water. And over here, there's the power button in order to turn on the switch for the heater so that it's able to condense the water. And here's the push button where you're able to have the water come out of the actual product. And here is a little bit more inside of the product. Over here, oh shoot. Okay, right here is the super hygroscopic, which means just super absorbent polymer film. And what happens is when you open up the device, you're able to have it absorb the water from the ambient atmosphere. And then next, you turn on the heater from the heater switch, which then will have the water condense. And then you have a condenser have it at a 45-degree angle so that the water will be able to drip down into the water collection area so that it's able to become dispensed out of the product. And because polymer films are actually degradable, we would have to have some refills so that you're able to replace them when they become decomposed. And right now, we're currently not too sure about how long it's able to last for. So we will be conducting future tests. We will be conducting tests in the future so that we're able to determine how long it's able to last for. And so how does Cactus Catch actually work? So Cactus Catch is created from 4 different chemicals. There's lithium chloride, which is added together with water in order to create a solution that's able to become a gel precursor. It is then added together with hydroxyproxyl cellulose. This is cellulose that is actually heat reactive. So when it is in normal temperatures, it is hydrophilic, which means that it is water loving. But while it is in higher temperatures, it actually becomes hydrophobic, which is water repelling. So that would actually expel the water from the gel so that it's able to become collected. And lastly, it's added together with konjac glucomannan, which is a hydrophilic material, so it's able to continue to absorb the water. And after you add all of these chemicals together and you wait for 5 minutes, it becomes a super hygroscopic, which is absorbent gel. And so
how does hydro facility actually work? So here is glucomannan. This is the molecular structure of it. And over here you can see this is OH, which is also known as a hydroxyl group. And because oxygen is more electronegative than hydrogen, it actually has an unequal distribution of electrons. And this makes oxygen have a partial negative charge, while hydrogen has a partial positive charge. And water has the same kind of distribution where oxygen is more negative and hydrogen is more positive. So this way, the partial positive hydrogen is able to react with the partial negative oxygen on the hydroxyl group, and vice versa. So how does Cactus Catch work? So basically, with the super hygroscopic gel, we're able to freeze this we froze it with dry ice, and this actually makes all of the water molecules inside of the gel frozen. And after that, we dried it with a vacuum hose, which then removed all of these water molecules, which creates all of these nanoscopic pockets of air. So when you're able to absorb the water, that's where it enters into, in these little pockets of air. And basically, so water from the ambient atmosphere would then become absorbed from this hydrophilic gel. Okay, and then after you heat it up for 60 degrees Celsius, and then becomes hydrophobic, which then expels the water from this gel, and then you get to collect the water. And over here, we have our validation experiment, and we were able to see that when we had it absorbed in this artificial human environment, which was created from water spray from the help of our professors here, and then we had it, we see it had an increase in weight, but then after we heated it at 60 degrees Celsius, it was able to lose its weight, which meant that the water was taken out of the gel.
How much water can Cactus Catch hold? In a day, according to an article from Nature, 1 kilogram gel is able to absorb in a day around 5 liters of water in a 15% relative humidity area, and it's able to collect 13 liters of water in an area with 30% relative humidity. So it has great potential in dry areas with low humidity.
So as you can see, our product is a water catching machine. So our main customers is the people that live in extremely hot and dry regions. In other words, is that people have difficulty to obtain water resources. So our target market is arid regions and like remote and island areas. So in these places, people have difficulty to gain water resource. Like in the island, they are surrounded by sea, and the seawater is not drinkable. So they need our product to gain water resources. And also our product can be used as emergency and disaster relief. And here's a comparison of our product with others. As you can see, the atmospheric water generator and rain barrel, they all have like similar function with our product. But our product have weak environmental dependence, and we don't have to use high power supply motor. And also, the most important aspect, our product is very cheap.
Okay, I'll talk about intellectual property for Cactus Catch. Cactus Catch is a unique product which collects drinking water uniquely. We need to get unique utility patents on Cactus Catch. So first, we'll hire a patent lawyer, then file a single international patent application via PCT. Also, we'll file patents in customer-rich regions like the Middle East and Western China. That's how we protect this great innovation. Okay, next, I'll walk you through a company development timeline. In the first year, our key goal is to secure $6 to $8 million in Series A financing. This funding will fuel our initial growth. By the second year, we aim to produce 500 to 1,000 units annually at $45 to $60 per unit. And let's define a unit. A unit, in our case, refers to the raw materials required to make one Cactus Catch that can produce 10 liters of water per day. You might wonder how we'll manage such a quick production ramp-up. Well, we've spent first year forging strong partnerships with reliable suppliers. They'll ensure a steady flow of high-quality raw materials. Plus, we'll design a streamlined production process and we'll train our staff intensively. And why does the cost per unit sit at range? Is because in these early stages, fixed costs like equipment and initial R&D are spread over a small number of units. And in the third year about scaling, we'll hit 8,000 to 10,000 units per year, costing $40 to $55 each. We'll reach 60% capacity utilization, cutting operating losses to $1 to $1.5 million, and aiming for 12 to 15% net margin profits. And as we keep growing, and with the cost-cutting measures we put in place, like improving production efficiency even more, this margin will expand. So we are total asking for $7 million, and we believe we can make it. And thanks for listening, and let's make it together.
Okay, questions from our audience, please. I'm not looking at Professor Tolbert yet.
So looking at the ingredients or components that make up your gel, is the gel or is the water from the gel safe to drink immediately from being released from the gel, or how would you test the water when you're still doing your research on it to make sure that it's safe to drink?
The water is absorbed from the ambient atmosphere, so it's actually taken from water vapor, and water vapor is very clean, so it doesn't have any like harmful things that would be inside of it that would be like for drinking. And originally in our product, we were actually meant to put a filter, but because of like our time constraints, we kind of just let it to become just a water absorbing material. But in the future, we would actually add a filter in order to make sure that it's completely clean.
I think part of Dr. Blake's question was about like if anything in your filter, like the cellulose and you had lithium chloride, like all of that, does any of that leach out when your gel releases the water?
I don't believe that it does because the water is taken out by heat, so when it comes out, it doesn't.
What form does the water come out of the gel in? You heat it, and what does it do?
You heat it, and then there's a condenser that condenses it into like.
Before it condenses, what is it?
It is heated.
It's heated?
Yeah.
And what do you create when you heat it?
Vapor.
Water vapor.
Yeah.
So you are basically evaporating and recondensing water. Do you know what that process is called?
Evaporation.
It's called distillation, and that's basically distilled water is totally pure water. So by definition of going through an evaporation cycle, you're purifying the water. Okay, so my question is, you have this component of the gel, and it's very hydrophilic, so it pulls in water. You could change the component of your gel. You could make it more hydrophilic or less hydrophilic. What would be the advantage of making it either more hydrophilic or less hydrophilic? There's some big advantages for either in terms of the way the device functions. So could you talk about how you might optimize your product in the future? Yeah, go for it.
So, if we made the gel more hydrophilic, so after we heat up it may like release less water, so it's not that efficiency.
Right, so take more heat to release. But what would be good about it?
It's able to absorb more water.
It would suck more water out of really dry air. So what if you went the other way? You made it less hydrophilic.
It's faster to get out.
It's easier to release, but...
It can't absorb as much water.
Right, so you might have a desert version and a more normal humidity version of your product. And one uses more energy, but can collect water in really dry places, and one uses less energy, but could collect water in less dry places.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. I was just curious how this device would be powered. Going on to the professor's last comment.
It's powered by batteries.
How much power does it take? And how would you get the power? Would it be rechargeable or?
Yeah, it will be rechargeable, but like, it's kind of you can see the product is not that big, so we don't need that more like power support. So it's just use less electricity than other products.
Okay, thanks.
Hello. Do you guys need to refill the gel, or or how long does the gel last?
Like I stated previously, we're currently not able to conclude how long the gel is able to last for, but we're saying like in future we would like do more experiments in order to like figure out how long it's able to last for. But we would say it would probably be able to last for around a couple of months. And we do have refillable gels that would be like sold separately so that you're able to refill the gel if it ever degrades.
Great. Any last questions? All right. Good job, guys. All right, so that was our first 5 groups. So we're going to take a quick 10-minute intermission. So I have us being back here at 12:20.
I trust you. Rules
they are antibiotic. Cells grow on dead cells. So if you put silver on something, then cells grow on the dead silver, then the cells die, and then on the dead cells, other cells grow.
Oh, but that's why he does this.
Yeah, yeah. Right, so it's actually bad for biofilms. I always learn something random when I'm on phone.
Are you guys are judging people or something?
There's no judging. These are just, so these are the graduate student leads who basically ran the camp. And then Rita is the staff education director. And so we're just sort of chatting about the science, you know, the guys are high school students, they did a great job, but the rest of the science behind each one of these projects.
Yeah, I just came up to introduce myself. My name's Carrie, and I said, what we're doing here is so, you know, the TDM that they went to see, SEM, I'm in Cactus for those products. I cover the semiconductor industry, which is the West Coast. I know Dan Snyder, I don't know if any of you know, he's your company. Anyway, but they're hired. Sophia is my.
I will tell you that my did this camp. It's so tricky.
Well, I don't know if she's reading. It's really interesting because I've been in nanotechnology for such a long time, and I'm watching some videos where it's give it a couple of days to do something that takes a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, I know. I tried to ask questions, but I didn't
Oh, no, ask them. It's good to ask questions.
maybe some other group.
Remember, your questions will probably be easier.
She came home with a picture of the TDM. She said, here's the TDM. And it was, really was just a control box in the back. That's not the TDM. I was just designed to looking at it.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun when you're trying to learn some of the things that you want to care about.
Yeah, I know. I get very interested. She doesn't talk about it. We learned. I said, tell me about it. She doesn't want to talk about it. Exactly.
They did really cool. They did really exciting. Yeah. Tell their parents. So my daughter's in college, and she was doing some summer research program at UC, and she gave her final presentation yesterday. And we're like, are you going to show it to us? She's like, oh yeah, sure, later. She literally would not show us her final presentation until after she'd given it to us. After she'd given it, she like did not want advice. Yeah, we could have given her great advice. She would not show it to us.
Just be harder on you. She wanted to do this.
Yeah. So that's all we are. It's okay.
That's what I'm watching their ideas. You know, they're just changing words.
Yeah, and they have 4 days to figure it out.
Just different ways. Nice to meet you.
Okay, everyone, let's find our seats. we're going to get started once again. We have 4 more groups, then some closing remarks, and then food. We're very food motivated here. All right, so our first group up after intermission is group 1.
Okay. Hi, everyone. We are Fogless. My name is Sophia.
I'm Aiden.
I'm Wing Tang.
I'm Raleigh.
And I'm Alan.
Oh, I forgot the clicker. Okay, so with a show of hands, how many people here wear glasses? So like 99% of you. And so for normal non-sciencey adult Americans, 63.7% of them wear prescription eyeglasses. 45.1% of surgeons, these are fake, 45% of surgeons require prescription lenses to operate, and 7.35 million pairs of prescription glasses were sold online in 2019. Another show of hands, how many people have ever had to wear glasses or goggles and they kept fogging up? So also 99% of you. Don't worry, you're not alone in your struggle. According to Abigail, she hates opening the dishwasher and having all the steam go into her face because her glasses are fogged up and she can't see anything, which I'm sure is a pretty common experience based on that show of hands. Dima says that he walks outside and then he goes into a warm room and it fogs up and it's terrible. And Laura says that wearing PPE makes her glasses fog up. So about our product's name is Optimist. It is an anti-fog coating that adheres to your glasses. And it's very important to note that we're only doing the coating because we like science, and not the adhesive, which we're going to purchase from decals.com. So Optimist is transparent, it's customizable, it's durable, it's affordable, and most importantly, it's long-lasting. We hope in the future it to be permanent, but it needs a little bit more future testing. And so even more about our product.
All right, so let's take a look at what actually goes on in the packaging. What will you get if you buy our product? So you can see on the left side of the screen, you can see some packs of stickers. You can see there's 4 stickers. The reason why we need 4 instead of 2 is because you put 2 on the front and also 2 in the back. Imagine if you're wearing a mask, like if you're inside of a clinic where it needs to be extremely sanitary, if you have a mask that fogs up your glasses from behind, that's also not safe. And so that's why we need 4 in every package. You can see our mascot, Mr. Mister. He's a cute little cat. And we include a pamphlet inside of our packaging. It shows you all the instructions of how to apply these stickers onto your glasses. So let's see, what is the science? How does this actually work? So we start with a plastic slide. This is the base of our sticker. On top of it, we put on silica nanoparticles. Why silica? Why not silver? Why not something else? Well, silica is relatively non-toxic for the human body. It's also relatively clear, it's transparent, and so people can see through it even though there's a layer on top of your plastic slide. Next, we put on polydimethylsiloxane, or PDMS. This is also non-toxic for the human body. It's also hydrophobic because it is a non-polar molecule. Because water is polar, it has a positive and a negative charge. It doesn't like to interact with this PDMS, which is non-polar, and so it actually splits up and has a tendency to not touch the PDMS as much as possible. And so lastly, once we test this water-repelling tendency, in other words called hydrophobicity, it's actually pretty good. So if we zoom in even more, we take a look at the nanostructure, because all of this is based on nanoscience. We take a look, because of the silica nanoparticles, we're actually able to make a nano rough surface because there's a lot of hills and valleys inside of this silica layer. And then on top of that, after we put the PDMS, this compounds these 2 factors together, having a hydrophobic layer plus this nano rough surface. And when they come together, it makes a super hydrophobic surface, which makes the water bead up and immediately fall off, reducing the time that we have fog sticking on your glasses. And next, we'll take a look at our testing results.
So does Optimist actually work? In order to test that, we
applied our solution, PDMS plus silica nanoparticles, to one slide, PDMS only to another slide, and just the bare slide as a control. So we tested the contact angle on each of these three surfaces, and a higher contact angle means a greater hydrophobicity of the surface because the water is interacting with itself more than the surface and therefore beads up. And so you can see through our data, the bare slide has the least amount of hydrophobicity because it doesn't have that high of a contact angle. And then we use just PDMS because PDMS is often used in normal hydrophobic coatings like wipes and sprays. And so we wanted to test how well that worked. And so we saw an 85.5 degrees angle in our PDMS only surface. Next, we use our PDMS plus our silica nanoparticles, otherwise known as our Optimist formula. And so we saw a great hydrophobicity and a high contact angle. Next, we wanted to test on a second experiment how well it did on anti-fogging. So in order to do this, we conducted an experiment where we held each surface on the slide over a beaker with boiling water to produce steam. And so we held it over for 20 seconds, took it out, and tested how long it took our surface to clear up and become transparent again. And through this graph, you can see that on average, our silica nanoparticles plus PDMS had the least amount of time to defog. And so therefore, our product was the best at anti-fogging. Here's a chart comparing wipes and sprays to Optimist. So both wipes and sprays are not permanent and often have a lasting time of 1 to 2 hours. And so they're not long lasting and they're not durable, but they are used on multiple surfaces. Now, Optimist is long lasting, durable, and available to use on multiple surfaces when you buy sheets. And for a pack of 4 sheets to put on your glasses is $12.
Now moving on to market size, this is a graph on anti-fog coating market, and you can see in the year 2023, they made roughly $2 billion and are reaching for $3 billion in the year 2030, growing at a compound rate of 5.5%. And this is an optical coating market. And between these two markets, both are growing at a fast rate, meaning this is the perfect time for you to invest. Both markets are owned by large companies, and that means many markets means more consumers, but that does leave plenty of room for new emerging specialized companies such as Fogless, since Fogless is better and faster and has cheaper solutions, such as being customizable and sold in local markets. Large companies are looking to acquire with smaller and unique companies such as ourselves, since Optimist is dry, solid, and is permanent. And we do only specialize with eyewear at the moment, but we do plan on expanding within industries. And since hydrophobic coatings are multifunctional, this does give investors the opportunity and ability to profit from infinite possibilities. And both markets are making billions of money, and with rise in advancements in the future, this brings in more consumers and more money. And if you choose to invest with this company, this does secure your spot for future growth and successes.
So here is our roadmap, which outlines our strategy for the 3 next years and the long vision term beyond that. In the year 1, we are focusing on research and development by perfecting our formula and developing the product, market research, testing and improving, and the pre-commercial launch. In the year 2, we will enter the growth and positioning phase when we will launch product officially, start a B2B, business-to-business partnerships, increase brand awareness, and fill in utility patents. Year 3, we will shift to expansions and optimizations by expanding the sales channels, optimizing production process, improving users' experience, lowering manufacturing costs, and obtaining brand deals and work with influencers. And for our long-term vision, it consists of launching new products, dominating a niche market, and strengthening the brand identity, and finally, continuously innovating. So, when it comes to protect our innovation, we are taking things seriously. Optimist is built on a unique surface treatment for lenses, and we believe it has a strong potential for utility patent. We're focusing only on filling in the US. We're also looking at a design patent to protect the look and feel of our product, because design matters, especially in a consumer-facing tech. And to even go further, we're securing trademarks for both Fogless Incorporation and Optimist. So here is our financial model. This chart shows our projected operational costs over the next 3 years, totaling 3.5 million. In 1 year, we'll expect to spend 0.86 million, near to 1.11 million, and finally in the year 3, 1.43 million. And that's why we're asking you sharks for 3.5 million.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sharks, questions?
I am curious why it is in a sticker form. Like, does it have to be in a sticker form? Could it be like a coating when you order lenses and you say, I want polarized and I want like an add-on kind of a feature, blue light filter type of thing?
Yeah, that could be part of our future campaign. Like, we could partner with optometry shops and things, but the reason why stickers is the best form for now is because it can be applied on other things and not just prescription lenses. So it can be applied on safety goggles, swim goggles, ski masks. It doesn't just have to be glasses, which is why stickers are the best option.
Also, as like a wipe or a spray, it will not last as long as the sticker, and therefore they aren't as helpful.
And on top of that, there can be issues with visibility for wipes and sprays, and also user error. Optimist is in one uniform layer, where a spray and a wipe would have to be applied by the user. So things like streaks and inconsistencies with application can occur, and they can also be wiped off really easily. But with a sticker, it will stay on.
Okay, I have a question. So the sprays you said were mostly PDMS, or the wipes. Since you're making this as a permanent sticker, what other polymers could you use?
Do you mean for the hydrophobic layer, or
For the hydrophobic layer. And what might be more hydrophobic than PDMS?
Yeah, so there's a lot of options in the lab. We tested with DCT, but that was relatively toxic when it comes in contact with like the human body. And so we thought, since PDMS is often used even in facial products, in frying oil, all those kind of things, and it's still non-polar, so it is extremely hydrophobic, we thought that PDMS would be our safest option, and we also have access to that here. But we will definitely, if we continue like research and development in future years, we can expand and test out all of these different polymers, because some of them may be much better than PDMS as well.
Yeah, when people want to make things that are like really, really hydrophobic, what do they use usually? Any idea?
Is it like Teflon? Or?
Like Teflon, exactly. Good job. So Teflon is a fluoropolymer. So Teflon has the problem, you can't like dissolve it in anything, because it's hard to process. But something that was like halfway to Teflon might actually be a really good way to make an even better sticker, since I think the point is you're not limited to the same chemicals that the people who make wipes are, because it's being processed in a factory. And if it's toxic while it's processed, but not toxic after it's done processing, you're fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also need to make sure it's extremely transparent, because if it's super thick, then that might also change your prescription glasses, which you don't want to do. So we'll also do a lot of testing on keeping this sticker as thin as possible to not change the profile of your lens, and also making it transparent so it doesn't destroy the purpose of making it clear.
Absolutely. Good job.
Any other questions from our audience?
Will touching or wiping the sticker affect any of its anti-fogging?
So currently, we've just added like a silica nanoparticle layer and then a PDMS layer. We were thinking about making it anti-scratch, but then if you put an anti-scratch layer over your PDMS, then that might destroy the whole purpose of the hydrophobic layer. So if we want to test out with Teflon or some other harder polymer, that might help also make it like smudge resistant and scratch resistant. So that would take a lot more testing.
Yeah, so we will definitely look into it in the future, but for now, our expertise is in the hydrophobicity part of it, so that's what we're focusing on.
Okay, thank you.
One last quick question. Anyone? Dr. Rita Blake. So you mentioned in your timeline in year one that you want to do market research. What market research? Like, what are you hoping to learn from doing this that you don't already know and that you haven't shown us?
So there's some very specific markets that we might go into. We could partner up with some optometry stores or like glasses shops, or we could go super, super specific into like ski masks or swimming goggles and those kind of things. And so in market research, we really want to find a group of consumers and customers that really like our product, because if it doesn't work out for the general public, then we might need to go very specific into one consumer base.
All right. Great job. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have Group 8.
Hello guys, we are Denial Company, detect cholesterol instantly, painlessly, and our product is the fluolipid.
So our company name is Denial. Our product is Lipid, which is a cholesterol monitoring device using saliva instead of blood.
So our team is, I'm Alohi Glover, I'm the CEO.
I'm Josh Daria. I'm the Chief Technical Officer or Scientific Officer.
I'm Sophia Lin, and I'm the CEO of this company.
Yeah, I'm Yao Meng from the engineer.
I'm Gavin. I'm administrative support.
Okay, so the problem space for our fluolipid, as like me, like many people, I had Accutane. And every month I get blood drawn for this in order to test my cholesterol levels. So traditional testing is really expensive, especially without insurance. It can cost from $30 to $120, and this is just too much for the ordinary person. And long results. Lab results, for at least my lab, come from 3 to 4 business days. And it's highly invasive, especially for people that deal with anemia or they're afraid of needles. This is a huge setback. But the market size for cholesterol testing is humongous. It is valued at 11.2 billion US dollars in 2022, and it's projected to reach 18.6 billion by 2030, growing at a rate of $6.5 annually, 6.5%. So the importance behind fluolipid. So cholesterol is often called the silent killer. The symptoms are very slim, even with high or low, and this can often lead to increased risk in heart disease and stroke because it builds up plaque within the arteries of the heart especially, and medications requiring a lipid panel. Some people are so afraid of blood drawing and stuff similar to that to test for their cholesterol that they often steer away from medications that are really required for their health. So this is a graph that shows high cholesterol diagnosis within recent years in the US, and it is steadily increasing over and over, and this is the percent of population that have already high cholesterol. And as you can see in 2019, it's already at about 20%, and it's just steadily increasing from there on.
All right, so this is our product, fluolipid. It's a 3D model I created here, and it looks and functions very similarly to a COVID test. So as you know, our whole goal for this project is to detect cholesterol in your saliva, which is why we decided to find Nile red dye. Nile red dye is a dye that binds really well to cholesterol, and it turns a nice magenta color to detect it with your bare eyes. We decided to also use microfluidics, which I'll go more in depth on our next slide. And on the right there is what our lab looked like with our microfluidic device. So first, we have these 5 vials at the top, which are our concentration range, since we all have very different bodies and we all have different cholesterol levels. And we went from very low cholesterol, which is 0.5 micromoles per liter, and to very high, which is 2 micromoles per liter. They're all very small concentrations in your saliva, but we wanted to test a different range to see what effect the Nile red had on your on the cholesterol when it binds to it. Next, we have a microfluidic device. So a microfluidic device is just a really fancy way of saying like a really tiny tube to transport really tiny amounts of liquid through it. And in this case, that's 1 picometer, which is 1 billionth of a meter, to 1 micrometer, which is 1,000th of a meter. That's how much liquid can pass through these tubes. And we needed the microfluidic device to mix the Nile red and cholesterol sample together very well, since you can't just use your hand to stir it at these low concentrations. That would not allow for even mixing. The microfluidic device creates tiny particles which can allow the Nile red and cholesterol to mix together and bind together more evenly. Then you get the resulting magenta solution, which we put into a spectrophotometer. So we didn't want to just rely on our eyes to see the color of the solution. We wanted to also put a number next to it. We wanted to quantify how much absorbance each solution had. So a spectrophotometer measures how much light passes through a solution. And if some light doesn't pass through, that means that light was absorbed by the solution. So we decided to measure absorbance at 620 nanometers, which is where Nile red absorbs light the best. So at very low concentrations of cholesterol, the Nile red, as you can see, it has a very high absorbance value, resulting in the darker colors of the solutions in vial A, for example. But as we go and add more cholesterol, the Nile red has a wavelength shift, which creates the lighter pink solutions of cholesterol. So this is how our device will actually work. First, just like any other test or anything, you put your spit into this designated spit area, and your saliva passes through the device, and it goes through 2 strips. The first strip is the positive control strip, which ensures that our device is actually working. And the second strip is where the cholesterol in your saliva actually binds to the Nile red, and you compare that color to a color chart that's also provided in our kit. And the lighter pink, as I said, means higher cholesterol, so that might not be a good sign. Now here's what our device actually looks like on a smaller scale. We have different layers. We have like 5 or 6 different layers here. The top sample port layer doesn't really count as a layer. So first we have our microfluidic microchannel, where it's etched onto a plastic. It's etched onto a piece of plastic, which Boston University says will only cost about $1 to produce. And it's a sandwich of these 2 microchannel layers, which allow the saliva to pass through in a smooth and constant straight line. And inside that sandwich, there's a filling of the filter layer and cellulose acetate. So the filter layer can filter through proteins and other gunk that's found in your saliva. And below that, we have the cellulose acetate, which has the 2 control strips. The 2 Nile red strips. First, there's the positive control, and second, there's the Nile red. The first positive control is cholesterol oleate mixed with Nile red, and it's dried onto there. So when the saliva passes over it, it rehydrates it and turns a deep red, which ensures that our strip is working. And the second is just Nile red, which the cholesterol, it binds to it, and it creates the magenta color. So here's how our filter actually works. At the top, if we have a protein in our saliva, it tries to pass through this 450 nanometer gap in the filter, but the protein is too big for that, since most of them are above 500 nanometers. But the cholesterol is below that. It's like super tiny. It's like 12.5 nanometers, and it passes through really easily with the water. So we don't want the proteins like hindering any of the other things below.
Okay, yeah, so next we're moving on quickly, going over how our product compares to the current existing solutions and how people test cholesterols today. So first we have traditional lab testing, which requires blood sampling, and this is oftentimes very invasive, slow, and not convenient for users who need frequent testing, especially when they hate needles. Next, the finger-to-stick device. This is slightly faster, but it still requires your blood, which means it's still invasive and oftentimes offers an uncomfortable experience for our users. Now, our product completely changes the game for you. Not only is it fast, easy to use at home, it is completely non-invasive since we're only requiring your saliva. And moving on to the future expansion of products. So first, we're looking at not just limiting ourselves to cholesterols. Saliva can tell us actually a lot of things. So first, we have glucose for diabetics, we have uric acid for gout, and we have cortisol, which can tell us how stressful you are. So next, we have wearables. We can just simply imagine like a small patch or a mouth guard can continually monitor users' health. And furthermore, we'll be implementing an application/platform where users can easily gain access to their data in real time. And lastly, we're not just limiting ourselves to saliva samples. Our device can actually be able to test your breath, your sweat, and even your tears. And yeah, in short, it's just very promising.
Okay, so now let's move on to our company timeline. This is the first year. So for the first year, we divided it into 4 quarters. And for the first quarter to the second quarter, we are going to focus on our core technology research and development, also the prototype design. And for the third quarter, we are going to focus on our proof of concept validation experiment. And for the fourth quarter, we are going to start the design iteration and technical documentation. And the estimated budget for the whole year will be 1 million. And for the next 3 years timeline, for year 2, the first half of the year, we are going to start our minimum viable product development. And for the second half of the year, we are going to working on the internal pilot testing and user feedback collection. And the estimated budget for the whole year should be $850,000. And then for the third year, we are going to focus on the regulatory prep with the market pilot. And the estimated budget should be $900,000. And then year 4, we are going to working on the scale and acquisition planning, and the estimated budget will to be decided. So how do we protect our intellectual property? So the first one, we are going to use the utility patent for our unique technology to test cholesterol level in our product, Flow Lipid. And secondly, we are going to use the trademark and branding to protect our intellectual property, which is for our company name and the slogan for our company.
Okay, so for all that, we're seeking a total funding of $3 million over 3 years. Thank you.
All right, questions from our audience.
So in one of the slides, I see a yellow exclamation mark for the accuracy. What does that mean? Is good or no?
Currently there's a trade-off for us as we still need our clinical validation since we're using cholesterol-3 sulfate as a marker to test for our LDL, which is bad cholesterol. So, but however, you can see the potential is there that we're trying to make the cholesterol testing more accessible and easier for our customers.
Yeah, so like if you get a lipid panel, like it gives you like an exact number of cholesterol, like LDL and HDL. And with this, it kind of gives you more of a range. So it's like not as precisely accurate, like and it's an exact number kind of thing.
Okay, I have 2 questions. So the first one is, you're just using capillary action to send the liquid through your device. Is that enough to drive the microfluidic mixing?
Yeah, it's a lateral flow assay, which we also used a microchannel, and yes, that is enough to push the saliva through.
Okay, so then my bigger question is, you're using saliva, and people normally use blood. So is the cholesterol level in saliva the same as the cholesterol level in blood?
No, the cholesterol level in blood is much more than the cholesterol level in saliva. As I mentioned, the cholesterol level in your saliva is like on an average it's 1.2 millimoles per liter, but in your blood it's much more, which is why like blood tests might be more accurate, but our test it does a pretty good job with just this much cholesterol present in saliva.
Okay, so maybe I ask it a different way. If the cholesterol level in blood is high, does that necessarily mean that the cholesterol level in saliva is high, and vice versa? If it's low in blood, is it also low in saliva? How
Yes.
well do they track?
It's the same ratio, if that makes sense.
Have there been studies that look at that?
Yeah, yeah. We have. I got these values from a study. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions from our audience?
Hi. First, I wanted to say, beautiful presentation. I love it. Question for you. You were mentioning about in the future you possibly wanted to use sweat to measure this. Would you mind elaborating on that? I'm interested.
Yeah, so there's actually cholesterol in sweat. So it's just like how there's like cholesterol in your saliva as well. It's also found in sweat. So the Nile red can bind to the cholesterol within the sweat, as if you were to sweat that much to be able to test that.
Yeah, just to add on, it's more probably for athletic performances of like tracking athletes, how they perform.
We've got like 2 minutes left. We can do another question. One more if there's one.
One more question, please.
Great job with your presentation. It was very good. So you're making a medical device. Do you think you guys will need FDA approval before you can release it to the market, and have you budgeted for that?
So this design is really similar to the COVID test designs, and since they've already been approved by the FDA, we can ride off of that, and we can say that our design is extremely similar, and we use similar materials in them. So I doubt we will need FDA approval for this.
Sadly, that is not the case. Any medical device has to have FDA approval. You can use precedent, but you have to prove that you accurately are testing whatever you say you're testing. So, can you guys estimate how much more money you would need to ask for to get your FDA approval?
Does that necessarily mean like clinical trials? Because because I think we talked to someone and they said we wouldn't necessarily need clinical trials if we worked in a lab that like was already like approved, or it was somewhere around that standpoint.
If you're trying to market this as just like a, and I'm not even sure what I'm saying is true, as just like a touchy-feely, oh, would you like to sort of know what your cholesterol is at home, but not actually use it for anything medical? Maybe you don't need that. But if you actually want to use it as a medical number, it has to have clinical trials.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so if there's a need and necessity for a clinical trial, it will probably be an estimated value of over $3 million extra.
Yeah, at least.
Okay, great job, guys.
All right, next up we have group 2.
Okay, so we are HydroHero, and today we're here to present to you our product, Castaway. So I'm Oliver.
I'm Joya.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Ronak.
So first, there are about 6.3 million fractures that occur annually just in the US, and that is almost 17,000 per day. So most of you who have had a cast would know that it is the traditional casts are not waterproof. Therefore, It is very inconvenient for everyday activities such as showering, and especially for athletes that prioritize hygiene. And also the moisture can be trapped inside the cloths, which can cause skin irritation and more problems with hygiene. Our current market size is $8 billion, but it is projected to reach $12.8 billion by 2032, showing the potential and growth in our market of CAS.
As shown in the graph, waterproof breathable textiles markets is growing rapidly. It is driven by increasing demand for materials that are waterproof, hygienic, and breathable. The market projected to grow from 2.13 billion by 2025 to 2.84 billion 2030, which reflects a consistent annual growth rate. Another major trend is shift toward advanced materials like nano coatings. Some of the benefits of it is it's clean, safe, and reusable. And it's not only sustainable, but also effective for medical and daily use.
So what exactly is our product? So as we saw, the problem was that CAS can't get wet. And the reason for this is because the inside layer, once it gets wet, it can trap moisture and cause irritation to the skin. And so we have designed our product Castaway, which is an innovative cast lining using nanoscience to become waterproof. So how our product works. As seen, we have designed our product so that the inside layer cannot get wet. So we have designed a cloth to become super hydrophobic pretty much. So this works using silica nanoparticles, and obviously nano is a very small scale. So how this works is it creates very small bumps at the surface of our cloth. And so this rough surface paired with octadecylamine, which is hydrophobic because of its nonpolar composition, causes the water to bead up on the surface. And the water beads up because it wants to interact more with itself and with least amount of the surface as possible. So the cloth pretty much doesn't absorb moisture and avoids getting wet, which is ultimately what we want.
All right, so now we want to test, does our product actually work? And so we prepared 3 different rounds of cotton. Our first one was washed and left untreated, our control. And we prepared 2 formulations, one with larger nanoparticles and one with smaller nanoparticles. For this we used TEOS, which when reacted with water will create silica. And we want to test 3 things. First off, just hydrophobicity. Will it repel water? For example, if you got splashed, will be fine. Immersion, if you went swimming with it, would it be fine? If you completely immerse the cast and this in water, would it stay dry? And finally, durability, would be able to survive the wear and tear of use. And for these, we dropped water on our rounds, we immersed them in water, and we scrubbed them with paper towels. And for the first and third one, we used contact angle, which is a measurement of the resistance to water, determining how much it beads up, by determining the angle between the side of the water and the surface. And so our key findings were that for hydrophobicity, they were both hydrophobic. They both repelled water at a contact angle of over 9 degrees, meaning that did actually ball up a significant amount. They both survived immersion and were mostly dry. And for durability testing, we've also made a graph for this. As you can see, throughout it stayed quite hydrophobic, repelled water throughout, even after 50 passes with a paper towel. So it is pretty resilient to wear and tear.
And these are the existing competitor in the market, and those are really good product, but compared to ours, it's kind of expensive. And this is the price of waterproof cast in the market. And as you guys can see, our product is the cheapest one, takes only $14, and due to the material difference.
Our product uses a patent technology-based inner lining that actively repels water. By applying a silica-based nanocoating, we prevent moisture from sticking to the surface, which helps keep the cast dry. This design also improves hygiene by reducing the risk of skin irritation and infection, especially important for long-term wear. And because it's extremely breathable, it maximizes users' comfort compared to traditional cast or even other waterproof cast. For opportunities, we plan to partner with hospitals for quality control and collaborate with medical device companies to expand our market reach.
So we will be filing a patent design for hydrophobicity of our inner cloth material in our first year. So what hydrophobicity is basically the surface is non-polar and the water is polar. Therefore, there are no strong attractions, and that's why the water will bead up and roll off.
In the future, our company will testing for antimicrobial to improve our product, and we will expand our product and technology into different area like splint and wound care.
So for our 3-year plan goals, in our first year, it's going to be a total estimated cost of 1.1 million. So we will be researching and developing for product functionality. We will also be increasing our funding for our company and researching and hiring employees by also like pitching to investors. And by year 2, we will have an estimated total cost of $1.3 million. And this will include testing and finalizing our product, begin partnering with hospitals and trauma wards, and reaching out to begin advertisements for our product. And lastly, in year 3, it will be a total estimated cost of 1.9 million. This will include advertising and expanding to other market regions globally, and it will also grow in different product types and expand. And lastly, we will also expand to different distribution channels.
And so with all this, over the span of 3 years, we're asking for 4.2 million to further develop our product and grow our company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, questions from our audience. I know we're all hungry and tired, but participation, please.
Good job on your presentation. This question's not specifically related to your topic, but I'm just curious, what did you all learn? What was your biggest takeaway from doing this project?
Like in general?
Yeah.
I think that as a very general take that nanoscience itself can be applied to many uses. I think in our case we found that we were able to use this nanotechnology to make this hydrophobic surface and ultimately show our product to kind of address the issue that we had.
I also want to share my own opinions. It's like my biggest takeaway is nanoscience is like not that far from us. When I was small, like when people mention nanotechnology, I think of like in the lab using the millions of dollars of machines to do the experiment, but it's not that. It's like not always that deep. Nanoscience is like all around us. We can easily use products developed by nanomaterials.
Anybody else want to add? Okay, so in your business plan, you didn't talk very much about manufacturing. So how are you going to make this? And how are you going to make it? Are you going to contract to make it?
So I think within our first few years at least, we do plan on making it, as we kind of did in our proof of concept experiments. So in terms of manufacturing, I think a lot of the work will be done by us in the labs to create this product.
So this is going to be like a treated fabric that is used to make the cast?
Yes, as part of the cast.
Okay, so have you thought about how you make that? Like, gonna do roll-to-roll processing? What are you gonna do to actually make this product? You can't do what you did in lab where you like drop stuff on with a pipette if you're making enough that like anybody could use it.
So, how we're gonna use our product to make the cast?
No, how you're gonna make your product in any quantity.
Oh, so making it kind of like in a bulk sort of
Yes.
way. A lot of like how we did it was with a lot of solutions that we soaked it in. So I think with making those in greater quantity and soaking our rolls of cotton in that quantity, we'll be able to create greater quantities than just the small pads that we did in the
So
lab.
when people make things that are like a roll of stuff, do you know how they normally do that? Did you look into the manufacturing?
Not quite.
So you can't just like take your piece of stuff and soak it in here and then soak it there and then like wind it up. So do you have any idea how people would actually make that?
I do not think so.
Okay, have you ever heard of roll-to-roll processing? Got a roll on one side and a roll on the other side, and you force the roll to this one unrolls and this one rolls, and then you can send it through all sorts of solutions on the way from being rolled up here to being rolled up there.
So it's like machinery and.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So was that part of your business plan? Because I didn't see any numbers for that kind of equipment.
We didn't quite like take that into account when determining how we were going to manufacture it, but I think in the future that's definitely something that we should consider.
Okay, yeah, you probably need a few million more.
Okay.
All right. Any other question?
Good job on your presentation, by the way. So you guys named a couple of extra similar companies that were similar to your product. Are they additionally like similar materials that are casts, like cast materials, or are they products that go on top or below the cast that makes it waterproof? And how is yours different from theirs?
So some of them are simply things that you would wrap over rather than the actual lining, so just to completely cover the cast. Some of them have materials kind of like ours, but instead they work to evaporate or dry quicker rather than completely sealing off from the moisture. And some simply have like harder or thicker, heavier materials to simply just not absorb any water, but those are generally more expensive, heavier, and hard to implement.
Most of other competitors in the markets, their product is different from ours. Their inner lining is a combination of hydrophobic and hydrophilic. It's hydrophobic, so it can repels water drops, and it's hydrophilic, so water vapors can go through. And ours are different from theirs.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, our last group, group 6.
Hello, we are LactoClear, and this is our product, the Mumu Filter. My name is Gabe.
My name is Charlotte.
And my name is Grace.
My name is Will.
My name is Andrew.
And this is our product.
Okay, firstly, I'm gonna introduce our company. Our company is named the LactoClear, which is founded in 2025. We are a company that's inspired by the problem of the lactose intolerance and try to make a product that is more affordable, more accessible, and more available to the lactose intolerant people.
And I want to talk about a problem that affects many people in the world. That is lactose intolerance. And look at this map. We can see about 65% and 70% people in the world suffer from the lactose intolerance. And right now, the solutions are just lactose-free milk and and pills. But these two methods are both limited. Firstly, although the lactose-free milk can solve the problem of the lactose, it's too expensive, about 30% to 50% higher than the regular milk, and is not available in many regions, especially in Asia. Look at this. Look at this chart. It shows that the market size of the Asia is $1.93 billion, which is much lower than the North America and Europe. And look at these pictures. We can see that the lactose intolerant people need to consume lots of pills every time when they drink milk. So it's very inconvenient and very uncomfortable. And some people may be allergic to the pills because the pills contain the fungi like the Aspergillus early, which provides the lactase for the pills and is prone to cause allergic reactions in some individuals.
As depicted on this slide, the global lactose-free dairy product market has a significant growth of 5.2% annually. So this upward trajectory is fueled by several key factors: a rising global awareness of health and wellness. So in particular for the digestion health issues such as lactose intolerance. Also, and a shift in dietary preferences toward dairy alternatives. In Asia, stands out for critical growth regions due to its large population size, a rapidly expanding market middle class, and a high prevalence of lactose intolerance. Approximately at up to 90% of the East Asian countries, this untapped market leaves a great opportunity for us to develop our solutions, positioning us to share as demand continues to rise.
So the solution we came up for this using nanotechnology is we're going to use enzymes in a filter that can break down lactose into 2 simple sugars that's easy to digest. This filter will still preserve the nutrients and protein in the milk so that it's still beneficial to drink and people can still enjoy it. This simple diagram here shows how as milk passes through the filter, the enzymes interact. The lactase enzymes catalyze the lactose, breaking it down to glucose, and galactose.
And here you can see our product design, which is in the friendly shape of a cow. And the first part would be the removable compartment for unfiltered milk, which is screw-offable, meaning that you can take it out. And in the middle, you can see the filtration system, which is in the shape of an udder. And of course, it's called the Utterly Amazing Filter. So from the time of purchase, users should put this in the fridge because there's something called enzyme degradation, which means that the enzymes might denature under high temperatures, which is why you must keep it in the fridge. And also there is a removable compartment for filtered milk, which is transparent so that users can see when it is full. And next, you can see our Sol Gel filter system. A Sol Gel is basically like a colloidal solution that has a gel structure. Basically, you can think of it as a dried jello. And this is easy to make and cheap, which means that our filters will be affordable as well as functional. And currently, we are using silicon dioxide as our prototype, but we will work on making it more food safe. Yeah. And for our validation experiment, we decided to test out how the lactobacillus bacteria would work with digesting lactose. Yes. So first we took some water and we dissolved some lactose powder in it. And in half of the glasses, we added lactobacillus. This is because we did not have access to the enzymes, but this particular kind of bacteria does create the lactase enzyme. However, in our own product, we will not be using this bacteria because this bacteria is commonly found in yogurt and it will make the milk taste sour, which no one wants. And after that, we set it overnight. And the next day, we added glucose detection beads, which we created by putting in a solution, which reacts with glucose to make a pink color. And our hypothesis was that there would be more glucose detected in the glasses where the bacteria is added.
So with our results of our lab, we saw our hypothesis proved correct. On the right, you can see the gel or the water where the bacteria was added, and you can see how it has a pink hue, which means that there's a larger glucose concentration than the left side, which had no bacteria, which means that the lactose within the water was broken down into galactose and glucose, proving that the enzyme did work and are proving our concept.
So let's dive into marketing strategy and how we differentiate ourselves from existing solutions. Currently, the market is dominated by two primary offerings, lactose-free milk and lactate pills. Take lactose-free milk, which retails at a 5.59 for a 1.89 liter. While it provides a convenient and nutritious option, its availability is limited in key regions such as East Asia and Africa, where lactose intolerance is most prevalent in those areas, leaving a significant gap for us in the market. Lactate pills, priced at 14.49 for 32 counts. While it offers a portable and cost-effective short-term solutions for consumers, however, there are drawbacks. Users must remember to take the pills before consuming dairy, which makes it inconvenient, and some may even experience milk side effects and allergic reactions. So our product addresses these pain points by offering a revolutionary alternative that eliminates the need for pre-consumption planning and ensures broader accessibility. Our solution shines with long-term savings compared to the lactate pills. The reusable filter also lowers the per-use time cost, making it to be a more economical choice for regular dairy consumers, combining with its sustainable design.
So now we have our plans for future expansion within our company, adding more product lines to our company. First, we would have the Flavor Blast filter, which would use the similar design, but with the removable filter, you would also be able to add a flavor filter, which would add flavor like strawberry or vanilla or chocolate to your milk. Second, we have the mini version or the mini Mumu filter, which is simply our design, but in a water bottle form, which is much smaller, more compact, and more usable and transportable. And third, we would also have the Moo Creamy, which would be an ice cream machine, which would make lactose-free ice cream using the same filtration system.
So this is our timeline for our first 3 years. This year, we started the company, and we asked ourselves how we can solve some problems that we see in the world. We all know someone who's lactose-free, so we thought maybe we can use Nanoscience to help solve that problem with filtration. So today we're asking for funding to start our company so that next year we can start research and development of different filters, start prototyping and field testing with consumers to see how they respond with the product, gain more investments, and so we can start production and manufacturing. That way in 2027, we can increase production and sales and grow our company to continue our product.
So in total, we are asking for $4.4 million over a 3-year time period. Thank you for listening.
All right, questions?
Great job. Great job, everybody. As someone that is lactose intolerant, this is actually a great invention that you could put forward. So with the milk and all, someone who hasn't tasted milk in a long time, I think that'd be fabulous. But you mentioned ice cream as a future that you might go into. Curious what that size, are we talking a big commercial size maker for ice cream? Are we talking more something that would be in everybody's household, maybe like on a Keurig size on a countertop? What are your thoughts on that as you expand out?
So our idea is more like if you've ever seen the Ninja Creamy, it's a more like portable home size. It's not for like big companies, although it could be sized up to that. It'd be more of a usable at home type of thing.
So on one slide you had a price of, or a dollar amount of $50 to $75. Is that the selling price to the consumer, or is that the cost of goods sold? And if it's the selling price to the consumer, what is your cost of goods sold and what's your profit margin?
So this Mumu filter is a one-time purchase. So this filter includes a free packaging of filters and also a filter included in the product. So if you are buying the filter alone, so it will be costing for $3 for each filters. So if we buy this filter, so it will be included into the the product as well.
So this is the selling price to the consumer. So then what is your cost of goods sold? How much is it going to cost you as a company to make each filter, each device, and then each of the individual filters?
Our estimate was about like 30 to 35, I think. I'm not sure. When we looked at some like plastic manufacturing companies and also the price of the sol gel included.
And then the price of each of the filters?
For the consumer, it would be $3.
And then your price to manufacture it?
We did not calculate that, but we're assuming it would not be very much because silicon dioxide is very cheap.
I loved your pictures. They're so cute. And great job on your presentation. I just was wondering do you have to clean out your filter after each use, or is it possible to clean it out? Like, how reusable is this filter?
I'm glad you asked this question because I actually forgot to mention it. So basically, the enzymes themselves can actually last a long time. However, because it is a filter and milk is going through it, we all know that milk can go bad and no one likes like smelly filters, right? So around every week or so, you could wash the filter with cold water to prevent the enzymes from degrading. And we estimate that it could last about a month or so, but we will need to do some further research on the longevity of the filters.
Okay, so the challenge here is you've got this filter, and you're running the milk through it, and you have lactase enzymes. I assume they're chemically bound to the filter in some way, so they don't wash out, but you didn't really talk about that. But we'll just assume somehow you're physically attaching them. So how thick does the filter need to be, or how porous, so that all the lactose on its way through the filter manages to hit a lactase enzyme and get broken down? And how do you weigh that against how long it takes to get the milk through? So this is sort of a little balancing act. So have you thought about this at all?
So on our business plan, we wrote that there would be one enzyme for every 1.5 nanopores. So it would be a very high concentration of enzymes to ensure that most of the lactose is being filtered through.
And you know how thick it would have to be to get all the...
We didn't currently be able to like test that, so that would be in our first year of research and development to further develop how thick we need to make it and things like that.
Yeah, our prototype was 1 centimeter, but we'll need to do some more research.
Oh, so it was thick. And how long did it take? Did you actually make a gel to see how long it takes to go through it?
Due to time constraints, we didn't have time to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, pass through time is a big deal.
But it's meant to be put in overnight, so we're assuming that by the next day it should be done.
Oh, that's a good way. Okay.
Okay, that's not enough time for a question. All right, thank you guys.
Alrighty, so we have some closing remarks here before we get to food. Can you tell I'm hungry? Even that last one with all the milk was making me hungry. All right. Okay, so to our students, we want to help you succeed, and so we would love for you guys to stay in touch with us. We know we only had you for 2 weeks, but you are our students forever. I actually ran into a student yesterday who was here for their new student orientation as a freshman here at UCLA, who was a student in our applications of nanoscience class 2 years ago. So it was really great to see her again, and she was like, "Do you remember me?" We remember you. I might not remember your name. I remember your face for sure, but that's just because I'm bad at names. So please stay in touch with us. You know, we want to know if you're going to college or university, getting a PhD, MD, if you're starting a business. We also have all of these other programs that we do. So our CNSI Nanovation competition, those applications open in December, January. It's basically what you did, but over a longer period of time. You get graduate student mentors and things like that, and you come here to CNSI to pitch, just like you guys did here. So you have excellent experience already for that. And then we have other CNSI summer sessions courses. You are in my favorite course right now, so applications of nanoscience, but we also have Nanoscience Lab, which focuses on science communication, and nanoscale microscopy, which features our tech centers. And then we write letters of recommendation as well, so if you are applying to college and university, other summer programs, internships, we are happy to write about your experience here in this class, and all those amazing skills in science and skills in life that we helped you build up over your time here. So please keep us in mind for that. We cannot get you into UCLA. That is not a thing. And the UC system actually doesn't even accept letters of recommendation as part of the application. But I know other universities do, and so again, we are happy to write letters of recommendation for you. Additionally, you know, I'm big on reflection and introspection. I made you guys do that a lot. You don't have a written assignment for this one. This one's just in your head right now. But, you know, we want you to take a moment to reflect on what you knew about science and entrepreneurship before you took this course and what you learned over the last 2 weeks. So about science, about entrepreneurship, about teamwork. There was a lot of that, and I know a lot of struggles with that. And about yourself, okay? So you guys just did this really, really hard thing. You should be very proud of yourselves and all the hard work that you guys put in. And so we just want you to take a moment to reflect on that as well. And then, you know, thank you guys for all of your hard work. I know that some of you think that I'm mean and scary and very demanding. These are words that our instructors conveyed to me that have been said about me over the last 2 weeks. I am, but it's because I know that you guys are capable of really great things, and I really want to thank you guys for all the hard work you guys put in, especially this last week with these projects. I know it's the end of summer, and we're all really tired and don't want to go back to school, and this was lots of school. So just thank you guys for, you know, pushing through this last week and producing these really great presentations. So thank you guys. And I know Professor Tolbert did it already earlier, but, you know, we really want to thank our parents for giving us this opportunity. I know that my parents really supported me in my education. And so it really does help to give your students exposure to these experiences so they can figure out what they want to do. They hear about all of these things, but they don't know what it actually means to be a scientist. And so to give them this opportunity is really great. Maybe they won't go on to be a scientist, but that's also an important part of the process as well. So experiencing it, figuring out what it's actually like to know whether they want to do it or not. And so, you know, UCLA and UCLA summer sessions are having us change the way we run these programs, and so your feedback is really important to us. Our students took a survey this morning already about this course, but we're really trying to push for parent feedback about what was important to you that we offered, so we can try to keep those core things going in how we run these courses in the future. Sarah, did you have any closing remarks?
So I just, in addition to, again, thanking the parents, I know you guys are the ones, because I did this with my kids, who actually make the decisions on where your kids get to experience things for the summer. And so, you know, thank you for giving them this opportunity and for being a part of our CNSI. I want to take a second to just acknowledge some of the people, again, or I don't know, as I said, I missed the beginning. I want just, again, our grad student instructors to please stand up and get another round of applause for being there all the time. I want to thank Rita, who is doing the timing and has been involved with a whole lot of this program. Stand up. And then I want to thank Dr. Shailene Tanemoto, who was the person who made every hour, minute, and day of this program actually work and run. So thank you, Shailene. Are we going to do a picture?
Yes, we are
Okay.
going to do a class
So,
photo.
we are done. All the work is over. There is one more thing that we need to do. And so, parents, this is very important. Students, we need you to go as fast as we can outside the front door and gather in front of the sign that says California Nanosystems Institute. Parents, while they are doing this, this is your one opportunity to get to the food before the hordes swarm in and eat it all. So, parents, grab some food. Students, take a picture.